Okay, so I had just found a story, and I actually remember hearing about this story a couple years back, but it's something that's really important that needs to be heard. I don't think that it's being heard enough, and this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about.
A BC mother whose daughter died in foster care 2 years ago says she is looking for some closure and some answers. She is suing the BC government and demanding answers to find out what led to her baby's death. Michael Serapio joins me now with more on this story. So let's begin at the beginning, Michael. How did the child end up in foster care to begin with?
Well, you have to go back to 2011 here, and the mother in this story, Diana, her name is Sarah Jane Weens, and in 2011, officials with the BC Ministry of Children and Family Services, well, they took away her 2-month-old baby because they declared Weens an unfit mother, essentially doing so because she has a learning disability. But instead of providing her support so that she could raise her baby on her own, officials decided that her baby should go into foster care. Now, that was heartbreaking for Weens, but also troubling because Weens maintained supervised visits with her baby girl, Isabella. And during those visits, she would raise concerns with the worker because she was noticing bruises on Isabella. She was also noticing that Isabella had a constant diaper rash. But Weens said she was ignored. And fast forward a few months later in 2013.
I just want to stop right there, and I want to say, now, in an incident like this is what I mean by saying it's very important to know who you're going after in an incident like this. Now, she is going after the BC Ministry of Child Protective Services or Children's Aid Society or whichever. I believe that it is that mother's right to go after the individual that put her child in harm's way and neglected to investigate the concerns that the mother raised about the bruises on her child. She should be going after her family services worker who endangered the life of the child. And that family services worker, due to the fact that that child died, should be held account for murder.
She was then told by police and family services that her baby daughter had died while in foster care. Now that, again, heartbreaking for any parent. And this is what Weens had to say about that. Quote, "They're telling me I can't parent and that I'm dangerous and that I will potentially harm my child. And then they take her away from me, put her in a home, and she ends up dead." Now, we have to point out, Diana, the coroner's report, which Weens had to fight to get access to. The coroner's report says there is no conclusive reason for the baby's death. But in the report, they did acknowledge that the 20-month-old toddler had fractures on her left arm, bruises on her arms, legs, and bruises on her face.
There's a lot that's troubling about the story. What has been the response so far?
Well, very limited. We received a statement, CBC News receiving a statement from the Minister of Children and Family Development in British Columbia, and it's very short. Here it is. They say this story is incredibly tragic, but the minister there, Stephanie Cadieux, says that she can't speak anymore about anything that may or may not be related to the ministry and the circumstance, and that's their reasoning into this is the fact that the lawsuit has now been launched. And as for Weens' lawyer, his name is Jack Kittredge. Here's what he says about the case.
The mother tried to cooperate with the ministry. She believes that she did everything possible, and she wasn't offered appropriate services. There was no attempt made to reunite this little girl with her mother. We say that the ministry failed abysmally in dealing with this mother, and of course, ultimately this child.
And Kittredge goes on to
That's
say
disgusting.
They want to know, did the ministry...
That is what I mean. How could you, as a person that defends the ministry of children, how could you sit there and just totally ignore the facts, totally ignore the fact that children are dying under your care? I don't understand how this could happen. We're living in a world of child murderers that aren't being prosecuted, and it's wrong. And I do believe that you, as the people, have the right to retaliate no matter what.